Hi, this is Nicholas Yock, a registered education and migration agent from Pathway to Oz. Today we're going to discuss the graduate work visa, or the Subclass 485 visa. Now this visa allows many international students to remain in Australia and live and work upon completion of their studies. So there are two streams for this visa, the graduate work stream and the post-study work stream. The main difference is the post-study work stream requires you to have studied at a bachelor level or higher, but you can have studied anything at a bachelor level or higher and get the visa. The graduate work stream allows you to sometimes have studied at a vocational level, so at a certificate or diploma level or a bachelor level. However, your course that you studied must be on what's called the medium to long-term list. Today, this specific video is going to focus more on the graduate work stream, meaning the course, if you have studied a course which is on the medium to long-term list. However, there will be another video in our YouTube series on the post-study work stream. So to be able to apply for the graduate work visa, graduate work stream, there are a few common criteria. Firstly, you must be under 50 years old. Secondly, you must have graduated from your course and completed your course within the last 6 months. English ability, so you will need to have an IELTS score of 6 with no score lower than 5. However, if you hold a UK, New Zealand, Canadian or US Irish passport, you won't need to do that. So the next requirement is the Australian study requirement. So this requires you to have studied for at least 2 academic years within Australia and a relevant university or vocational course in an occupation which is on the medium to long term list. The next thing you'd need would be a provisional skills assessment. So you must have a positive provisional skills assessment from the Skill Assessing Authority. So I'll provide a little more clarity what's required from the Australian study requirement. So basically you need to study a course or package of courses which go for at least 92 Cricos weeks, or at least, generally speaking, about 2 years. The course must skill you in a level that is relevant for the occupation on the medium to long term list. So for a few examples, you generally speaking can do the Certificate 3 in carpentry and be eligible for this visa because carpentry is on the medium to long term list and the required skill level for a carpenter is a Certificate 3. However, you can't do a diploma in business, for example, and obtain this type of visa because the diploma in business doesn't skill you for an occupation which is on the medium to long term list. Additionally, another example is if you wanted to do nursing, you'd need to do a Bachelor of Nursing because a Bachelor of Nursing skills you for the occupation of registered nurse, whereas a Diploma of Nursing doesn't sort of meet the education requirement for that. So the graduate visa has 2 steps. The first is applying for your provisional skills assessment and the second is applying for your visa application. Today I'm going to give you an example of, say, someone who's done a carpentry or a trade occupation because this is the most common graduate visa that we process. So in order to apply for this visa, the very first step is going for the provisional skills assessment from Trades Recognition Australia. To apply for the provisional skills assessment, you'll need several documents. So educational documents such as your letter of completion, your academic transcript and your academic certificate or diploma. On top of this, you'll also need to provide evidence of 360 hours of vocational placement or paid work experience. So you don't need to provide both. You can either provide 360 hours of vocational placement or paid work experience. If you have done the 360 hours of vocational placement and it's part of the course, you can provide things like your logbook from the college and a letter of completion from the college sort of explaining that that the vocational placement was done. If you have done 360 hours of paid work experience, this can be pay slips, if you're on a TFN, or invoices if you're on an ABN, plus a letter from your employer, explaining that the work was done. Now, there are some requirements for what is on the letter from the employer or the college, which will be listed in the details below. So once you have collected all the relevant documents, you'll apply through the TRA portal for your provisional skills assessment. Once you've applied, you'll be given a receipt number, and with this TRA receipt number, you'll then be able to apply for the graduate visa. So the TRA Provisional Skills Assessment can take about 2 months to come back, but you don't need to wait for it to have been approved before you can apply for the graduate work visa. You can then just go on, once you have the receipt number, you can go on and apply for the visa. To apply for the graduate visa, you'd apply through your IMI portal. If you go in for the graduate work stream, make sure you select that through the visa application. Basically, some of the costs for the visa application charge is $1,535. The TRA Provisional Skills Assessment is $300. Then there's some other costs like potentially overseas visitor healthcare, which is around $100 a month, your Australian police check, and a medical assessment if it's required. So a rough checklist of some of the documents you'd need to provide would be your Australian diploma and certificates, a letter of completion from the college, your COE, your TRA Provisional Skills Assessment outcome letter, passport photo, English test report, an Australian police check. Please note, this is just a rough guide of some of the documents you might need. Each applicant may require, a certain list of documents, and I would recommend, chatting to a registered migration agent to find out what's required for you. In the comments below as well, you'll also find a link of what is needed on the Australian police check. There's a few different formats that you can get, so follow that pretty carefully. So once you have applied for the graduate work visa, you'll be granted a bridging visa. Now, the bridging visa will actually allow you to remain in Australia, live, work, etc., while the visa is being processed. So the visa processing time will take about 2 to 4 months. However, generally speaking, you will have full work rights because you would have finished your course and your course will be out of session. Immigration may or may not contact you if there's something else is required. There is no sort of requirement that immigration contact you if you don't provide a full list of correct documents. So if you provide something incorrect, they could potentially just refuse the visa instead of contacting you. So some commonly asked questions: how long does the visa go for? The graduate work stream visa goes for 18 months. The processing time is about 2 to 4 months. Can you include your family members on the visa? Yes, you can. You can include your spouse or de facto partner and any children you have. Your spousal partner would have full work rights once the visa is granted. Look, so that's a general overview of the graduate work visa graduate stream. I hope you found this to be quite helpful. At Pathway to Oz, we do specialise in graduate work visas, student visas, general skilled migration, and we've assisted literally probably hundreds of clients apply for this visa. So if you do have any questions, or if you'd like Pathway to Oz to assist you lodging this visa, feel free to contact Pathway to Oz via email, through our website, in the YouTube comments below, or through Facebook. Thank you.